Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Tori Talk. We are here for our special edition Women's History Month episode. I am here with the Allison Seymour.
Hi.
Thank you guys so much.
I'm doing this too.
Yes, this is my favorite thing.
Okay.
Tori Talk. Who got the tea? Who got the tea? Yeah. It's Tori Talk. Who got the tea? She got the tea. Yeah. Anything you need to know. Tori Talk. Just tune into the show. Tori Talk. Tori Talk. Your life. Tori.
For you, Allison, when, I had almost the opportunity, maybe about 2 weeks last year, at the same time, we both got an award.
Yes.
And during that time, I put you in my speech because it was very important to me.
And I was crying.
I know.
Yes, I do remember.
You did cry. I was like,
Yes.
oh no,
No.
don't cry. But for me, and for you guys who don't know, back in 2014, I did an internship at Fox 5 here, WTTG Fox 5. And Allison was working at the station at the time, and I was there when I went to Howard. And I know you went to Hampton. It's the only
Really sure? Not the time.
the only
Not the
thing about you.
Not the time? Okay.
Look, that we're at odds. Everything
Right.
else, absolutely love.
Okay.
That Hamptonian, though, I mean, HU. But, and when I was there, I went there for my spring semester, and that's where I had my internship at. And I was on, like, the morning show, and I got to see you up close. And I have to tell you a story.
Oh, okay.
So there was a day you came into the studio, and everyone loved you. So that's how I knew it was like, oh, my gosh, you're the sweetest lady ever. Because everyone in TLC talks so highly of you. But you came in a green suit. It was a pantsuit. And I said, oh, my gosh, she is so fly. I want to die. Like, how does she look this nice all the time?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? So you still have that suit?
I do not.
See, it's too many clothes, guys.
I
Too
do
many
not.
clothes.
Right. That was probably a couple of sizes ago.
Oh,
That's the
no.
problem.
Please. Please.
Thank you, Tori. Coming from you? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks. And I said, I don't know what I have to do.
Yeah.
If I can be even a little iota as close to the type of journalist and person that she is, I would feel so happy.
Oh.
So for me, when we got the chance to get the award, it was really full circle. So I had been watching from the wings, too scared mostly when I was interning to say much, but I was studying and was paying attention. So it was a big deal for me.
Thank you for saying that. So I have on my lashes today, and I don't want to cry them off, so I'm going to need you to, but that's it. Like, for me, what else is there? That's it. That's just it for you to say that, for you to remember that, for that moment, for that perception of me for you as a young black journalist with all of this going on. That just means more to me than anything. So I can't even tell you how appreciative I am and how humble that makes me feel. And I feel like, okay, job done for me. I'm not, I'm not one to be like, okay, you did that, girl, and all that. But to hear you say that, that is everything for me. So thank you so much. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you and everything that you've done thus far and what you will continue to do. Even this beautiful space, it's very healing. I was happy to do this today. It's my mother's birthday. She's no longer with us. But I thought that what a beautiful way to honor her by talking to just a young woman who is so positive and lovely. So I'm happy to be here on her heavenly birthday today.
So now I'm going to cry. Oh, great. Oh, great.
Yeah. It's March 9th. That's what it is. Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? Like now they say, you're not that girl. No, Allison is that girl. You and Sean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I will just be in awe, literally.
Well, we are in awe of you, and we're proud of you and everything that you're doing.
So,
Yes.
now that I'm done.
Now that we're a mess.
Loving all over her.
Now that we are a mess.
What I wanted you to be here today, because like I said, I'm doing my Women's History Month segments as we're doing this month. And what I thought was amazing is just not only the arc of you and your journey, but I felt it would be invaluable to be able to just talk to you, get advice from you. I mean, you're such a wealth of knowledge that I think anyone, whether they're trying to get into the journalism field or not, could learn so much.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
I want to kick off
Okay.
the interview and just start by saying, right now, it seems to me that the journalism field has shifted so much.
Yes.
In between the time from when I was, getting my degree
Yes.
up until even today. And it seems that the focus now is more opinion based and less fact based. And I want to know, because you are an OG journalist,
Right.
how that has been for you experiencing that
Right.
and having to move with that.
Yeah. Well, let me first say that I have a lot of opinions. Okay, I have a lot of opinions, and when I look at either people who didn't come up the way that I came up, the way that you studied to come up and all that, so they came up a little differently, right? In the age of social media, podcasts, people doing their own thing, and so they had to figure out a lane to stick out, right? And so traditional media is still that, but I also think is why a lot of traditional media doesn't get the eyes that a lot of the other media gets, because the other half of that is people want to know, like, well, how do you feel about it? Like, people ask me all the time, you have to report all this news. How do you do that? How do you not, whatever? So it takes a lot to not share opinion, but we have opinions. And so when I see people who are out there just like able to speak their minds, not in an inflammatory way, but in, I'm thinking of Joy Reid, like think in a way that she's knowledgeable, she's got the credentials, she had the platform, and she had the opinion. And now she was on a network that had a left-leaning opinion versus a right-leaning opinion, but you need the real knowledge. So when I look at people like that, I have a little bit of jealousy for those people, because the only way that I can get across any sort of subliminal opinion is I try to pause when I read things. So I'll say something like, and I don't want to name any names.
You can't give them the secrets now, they're going to be looking at you when you talk.
But I think, Tori, people already know. I'll present a story, and it will be so outlandish one way or another that before the next story, I might just pause a little bit. So it might be something like, I don't know, and they said that funding this department would be stupid. And our next story today. So I'm letting it breathe a little bit so I'm distancing myself from what I'm reading. But when I see those people, I feel like that's a big responsibility for an opinion-based show or journalist or whatever. Please be factual. Please don't spread lies. Please don't whatever. But people do need to know. And a lot of the problem with traditional media, I think where people get frustrated, is sometimes we present the story and it's just the story. So no other context or no other, background or whatever. So when I see that, there's definitely a lane for them. And I think they're having a winning moment right now because of how divided the world is right now. But for me, I'll keep on doing my thing, because what I don't want is somebody calling and saying, well, you're biased clearly, and it showed, because that's not the business that I'm in. So we stick to what we know and how we came up until there's no more room for us. But there will always be room for the truth, for not being beholden to one side or another, and there's always space for that. But I wish that I could speak my mind more often.
And you know what's so funny, when I think about like some of the journalists who do it, like you said, a Joy Reid, that's a credentialed, got it out the mud journalist.
Right.
There's no doubting that.
Right.
But then you have the TikTokers, you have the YouTubers, you have the people who are online, like that element of it, I think. And, like you said, they have their lane and they're doing their thing and they're making their money, and that's great. But I do feel what scares me coming from the background is when you do start to present those things as fact.
Right.
And you have the platform.
The scariest thing is, TikTok taught me.
Yeah.
I got it from TikTok. Oh, yeah. TikTok said, no, because those folks don't do that extra validation thing. I just said to my husband the other day, he said something, and I said, well, please validate it. Because just because it was on this site or from somebody please go to that second source. And I still think there's a lot of power in that we have to do that. Because if not, we're just out here spreading whatever, depending on how you feel about it.
Yeah.
So that is that is maddening to me. Everybody got a microphone.
Yeah.
Everybody just saying what they want to say. And it's dangerous, but it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous these days, especially.
And then when you talk about things that are going on like these days,
Yeah.
right? There is this idea.
We all know.
I know. It's
these
like
days.
you have to be so careful.
But yes.
There is a love for fiction
Yes.
and a hate for fact.
Oh,
and then
hate.
things that are facts are flipped. And at this point, being a journalist and being the person who is on television every day
Yes.
and welcoming people in and giving them the news, how do you feel about letting people know, like, hey, you can trust me as a source?
Right.
Like, what do you do to
Right.
make sure that when they turn on the television and see you, there's no doubting the things that you say?
I think about this a lot because, as you said, we first met when I was at Channel 5. I was there for 21 years. I've been at USA 9 for 5 years. Okay, so how time flies. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that thing is. I don't know if it's because I had the benefit of being pregnant 3 times in 4 years on TV. I'm talking about big. I'm talking about face swole. Okay. And then having these babies, being out in the community, we live a regular life. Okay, you will find me these days. I'll be at Aldi, and okay,
Grocery prices too high. Aldi's probably the best option.
That's where I'll be. So you get to see people, especially in your little communities, and often back in those days, it was like, my son Tyler and your daughter Sydney, they're the same age. We were pregnant at the same time. And I feel like when you give yourself so much to the viewer, just going through your life and not with any pretense, like, speaking of my husband who's here today, like often on a Sunday night, when I was pregnant, we would be going to Target back when we went to Target.
And
we would go and I'd be like, I got to find something to wear tomorrow, maternity. I got to find something. And on the next day on TV, if somebody had said something, this was on the clearance maternity rack at Target. So I think that somehow, I don't know where it came from, but being able to present more as Allison, just as me, fostered some sense of trust with the community, especially in the Black community, right? A sense of trust. Okay, that's our girl. She's not going to just spread something. She's going to do whatever. And what people don't see, though, is if I have a script and I'm not sure about something, or if it leaves something out, especially these days, I'm trying to think of just anything. If it leaves a very important part out, we're seeing the federal layoffs, right? So I'm just not going to say 80,000 people have been cut from Veterans Affairs and are, but I'm going to also say it's never going to be 80,000 people have been cut from Veterans Affairs. Next story. I'm going to go in there and say 80,000 people have been cut from Veterans Affairs. This is going to affect this, that, and the third. So while I don't have a lot of time to add to these stories because we have a certain amount of time in the newscast, I'm going to put the context in. And that context is going to be the truth, but especially if it hurts somebody. I'm not going to normalize what is going on without having, this is going to affect these people. So, Tori, I just think that over the years, people, I don't know if they sensed something, but they knew that I wasn't out here just collecting a paycheck. It meant something to me. I don't know if it is because I spent most of my life growing up in this area that I don't want, like, Miss Russell, my second grade teacher at Brightwood, to be disappointed. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to her. I'm talking to the people who went to my dad's church. I'm talking to the people I went to high school with, and I want them to be able to call me and say, "Now you said this, and I believed you, but it wasn't quite the whole story." So I think I always did it knowing I was talking to somebody, not just into a camera in a studio. So I don't know how people picked up on it or where their trust came from, but I like to think that people picked up on a genuine part of me that I was giving them because it was never just a job. It is never just a job for me. So that's that. I don't really have a definitive answer, but that's what I think.
That wasn't definitive. That was amazing. I'm gonna cry again. Jesus. Like, I mean, I know. I mean, it's just, for me, it is such a amazing opportunity. I wanted to just sit down and pick your brain for so many years. So it's just a nice, like,
yeah. And
I feel that.
And, right? And when Renee hit me up about coming on, did I hesitate? No, I was like, yes. You know, I'm no fool. I'm latching on to the younger generation, honey. I'm going to be on the Tori Talk show. Period.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
And you know, what you touched on was something that I wanted to bring up next when you were speaking about being pregnant, being on television. You are Black, obviously. So when I was in college, Melissa Harris Perry and her braids was such a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's dope. Like, her hair looks great. This is amazing. But it was a thing.
Oh, it was a thing.
For that time, when I was maybe, that would be 2013, 2014, it was, you cannot wear your hair this way. You cannot speak this way. You cannot look this way.
Yes.
And when I saw you, it was, you have this fly haircut, you dress nice, like, you're beautiful. It was the antithesis of what they told me you had to be for the news.
Right.
But then there seems like there's a level of, you can be a woman on television for this long, no matter how, you know, decorated you are, no matter how amazing you are at your job. But it just seems like we can have a man on the news, so he's on life support.
Oh, he gonna die on the set.
And so I'm like, Jesus.
And I'm dead.
It's like,
And wasn't he wonderful?
right.
Yeah.
And I just think, why, like, do you feel, like, have you felt that? Is that just like, is
I
an
feel it.
antiquated thing?
No. I definitely feel it. I look around. I'm like, okay, where my 60 plus ladies at? I think when I was coming up, so you kind of came up with me. Who I came up with was like the Pat Lawson Muse, the Lark McCarthy, who I took over for at Fox, the Barbara Harrison. And you see these people, Andrea Rowan at Channel 9, you see these people to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then you just, okay, where did they go? You know, you don't see them anymore. So I think what a lot of that is just the feeling that you get. Because at this point, you're grown. Okay, I'm grown. I'm 64 years old. I got these people telling me to do something that I know is not right, that I know is not really how I came up in journalism, but they want you to do it. And then you look behind you and it's like a whole bunch of younger people like, I'm just waiting to get in. Do something, auntie, so I can get in, right? And so all these things are going on. And I think what happens is you get to a breaking point that you're just like, nah, I don't need this. You can keep this. And I'm going to walk out of here with my head held up high. Now, what it does do, though, is it does create sort of a void because you look around and whatever. But we all know that men, and I don't care what business it is, treated differently than women in business, period. And so, you know, what they're going to get is they're going to deal with something that you're not going to be dealing with. Or I talk about Channel 5 all the time. Having a strong opinion was not necessarily valued at a certain point. And it's easier to just get somebody who's going to say, oh, yeah, okay, I'll definitely do it. You know, no shade to anybody. I'm not talking about anybody. Right. But what I'm saying is that's the mentality. And so I think that what happens is you get to a certain point, you're just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be marginalized, no disrespect. I came up, like how you said, like through the mud.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I came up, was like born out of it. Born out of market 180 somewhere. And, you know, so you just feel like, no, I'm not going to do that. But when I look around, though, I will say this. Gayle King, now that I'm at CBS, man, I'm just like, go ahead, Gayle. I was never like a huge Gayle person before, but now I'm like, you got to represent. I look up her age all the time. I'm like, yes, Gayle is.
Getting the deals.
Gayle, yes. And so I think at a certain level, I think when we look at local news, maybe it's easier because local news is, you know, we've been saying it's dying for years. So
is it though?
I personally don't think so.
I don't feel that way.
I don't think so, but that, you know, that's,
I'm
you
biased.
keep pushing it out, right?
But again, I'm biased.
Right, because there's going to be a spot if you want it. But so for me, I guess the short answer is, there's a book called what is it, like the older I get, the blacker I become. I think that's the name of the book. And that's how I feel. Like the older I get, the more grown woman I become. And it's just like, no, I'm just not going to say, okay, I love that if I don't think it's a great idea. I'm going to say, let's talk about it. How about you learn from my experience and you can, I can learn from yours. But it's not just going to, because I'm the one who would have to carry something out on TV. Do you know what I mean? And so I just think that's it. I think that Women's History Month, women still have to go to be doing that slow jog when men are walking, and that's just what it is. And so I think it just gets to a point where you're like, oh, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to do it. But for me, I will be on TV as long as I can because I still have children in college, and so we will be trying it, and that's it. But yeah, but if you hear that I'm gone, please know that
you were ready to go,
and I was fighting somebody because I do have that fight in me, and so yeah, I just going back to the fact that I owe it to the viewer, especially the viewer that looks like me in all of these communities that I love so much. And so, yeah, if I go before I think I'm going to go, it's because I just could not do it. And then you will hear more opinions.
Then you had the podcast.
Then I'll, yes.
There's the podcast.
Yes,
We can dig in.
Yes. I'll be like, Tori, loan me out your studio. I have a show to do. So, yeah.
And, for me, when you talk about the fact that they say local news is dying, I love being able to tune in, especially you now, and know what's going on in the area because that is the point.
Thank you.
Of the news.
Yes. I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We've said this over and over again. I remember when now I'm old enough to know this, but when the dang on internet came out and you're just like, the internet's going to kill it.
I was here. I was a baby, but I was here. I was like 7.
Right. Well, it was
I was
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something. My grandparents were in front of that TV watching Walter Cronkite every night. Okay, and now it's like, who are we watching? First of all, there's so many outlets.
There's 3. What was it? 3 then?
Right. And so that's a part of it, the volume. So it's just we've been saying this for years. It's dying. Okay, but let's hop on this social media. It's dying, but let's do this. Let's try to get on this trend. Now it's streaming. Yeah. So it's like it's dying. Streaming is taking over. So let's get on this streaming show. I personally feel like do the best news show.
Yeah.
And people will find you. I'm with you, and I'm hoping because nobody can. It's that local news piece for me. What happened at the wharf?
That matters to me.
What happened? Right. What happened in Arlington? What was this fire? What's the weather? Whose schools are going to be closed? That's all local news. And then, of course, the personalities.
Well, of course. And that's why you watch. Right. And it is so nice seeing you on the show now.
Yeah.
Back with your crew.
Yeah.
Because, again, that was the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny when I first went on Fox to do the Celebrity Dish and I met Wisdom.
Yeah.
One of the first things when I said, I gave him the whole spiel. He said, oh, yeah, you were when we were at the crappy studio. I was like, it wasn't crappy. He was like, no.
Yeah.
This one is way better. I was like, true.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny because I remember everyone being there. And at that point, the whole team was still together.
Yes.
So it's been breaking away and people, leaving, but now you guys are back together.
Yes.
And it seems like a nice thing for you.
It is. I say this when people ask me people say this to me all the time. I miss you. And I'm like, I'm still here.
Missed me?
I'm here. And so, but I get it. So I look at that time and all of the wonderful things that we do, because I really do feel like we helped to change local news. All those years, we helped to change it. We brought in more personality. It was more fun. We brought in all the guests that came in, and it helped to push local news into a different area. So I'm extremely proud of those years. But sometimes you got to know when it's time to go, and you have to be unafraid to go. And it's scary because you feel like that's all tied to who you are, but no. Not really. And when that time is over, that time is over. And I love the fact that old studio at 5100 Wisconsin Avenue, baby, it's about to be torn down to the ground. Demolished.
Is it?
The old studio.
Yeah, the old one.
Bye-bye. Because let the new studio shine. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
We were doing a groundbreaking for the new thing. And my big boss, the GM, was like, I want you to come and cover the groundbreaking. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm coming, but baby, I'm never going to be in this building. And it happened. Like, I was not, because I knew, like, emotionally, I was not happy with the whole thing. So, yeah, if you go by the old 5100, Wisconsin Avenue, the old Fox Studios, it's got the fencing around it. It's about to be whatever. Because for me, I just consider that like almost a blessing, like a little kiss from the angels, like you did your time here and you never have to go by it and have any regret or, you know, oh man, you know, they're having so much fun but no, it's not there anymore. And so, or it will not be. And so I just feel like that's just a little wink wink, little kiss kiss from the, you know, from my angels, my guardian angels, that chapter is definitely closed.
I mean, you were that studio. You were that time. I mean, it was you.
You know,
I don't know how else to phrase it. I mean, true.
Yeah, I had a ball. Still having a ball. Had a ball there for sure. Yeah.
And now, you know, for me, so I'm a person who student loans were real. They're still very real. I would love them forgiven, but they were not. So I still have to pay those back.
Yeah.
But I went into a different way. So after college, I did not go into the news. And, you know, again, at the time that I'm going into news, it's like, you need to move to Indiana.
Yeah.
And you need to be here.
Is that
like,
still true?
No. But at the time, when I got out, it was like, you still got to go. You still got to move. And that thought, I am from this area. So leaving a big city to go somewhere super small.
Oh, yeah, girl, it's rough.
And then I was like, I don't like roommates.
Yeah, it's rough.
I can't do this. So I continued to stay. But for me, the outlet was when I was able to create this show and starting to, you know, build it in the way that I wanted. And, you know, my 9 to 5 was able to afford me the ability to be able to do that.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people now who are, you know, in school or not in school and want to get into the field. But the advice that we had is not the same for them.
Right.
So what advice would you give, you know, even, you know, your daughters, anybody right now who's 16 years old, still in high school, and this is what they want to do?
Girl, you got to pack them and go to Indiana. you got to pack your bags.
You have to.
You got to go to Indiana. For me, so I spent like 5 years after graduating from Hampton. Actually went back to school. I was a desk assistant at ABC News. Behind the scenes, I did not know how to get on TV. So I spent 5 years after college being a writer or production assistant, doing all these other things until I got my first on-air job. And that only came because it was a town in upstate New York called Utica. It was the blizzard of 1993.
Oh, no.
It was.
Not a blizzard.
I was sad every day. When I tell you that there was no, I mean, we're spoiled. I don't know how many radio stations we have here that play the kind of music that we like to listen to. There was none up there. I wore my Mary J. Blige, what's the 411 CD out.
On repeat.
I played it on the way to work. I played it on the way back. And when they said I just wanted to be a reporter. So they said, okay, yeah, you can be a reporter and you'll also be the noon anchor, the assignment editor, and so I was like for $13,000 a year and no black radio. So I was like, okay, you don't have to stay for long, but however you get your feet wet. Because what's happening now, especially like at some of the, even here in DC, the MMJ reporters, they're carrying the camera, they're holding the mic, they're micing them up, they're doing all of this. It's not every place in DC, but I know our shop does that, and I think that's what it's going to go to more and more as they do these cutbacks in our industry. And so I just would say, learn all the things. I don't know. Find a place that's going to teach you how to shoot, how to edit. You know, get those internships, and don't be afraid to start small. Not that you are. I'm just saying if you can, if you have it in you, if you really want to do it, don't be afraid to start small. I lived in 4 different places in 5 years to come back to DC. But I knew I had a goal in mind, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So, you know, I mean, there are plenty of ways to do it now, but at the end of the day, you're going to need, we used to send out tapes, like physical tapes, right? Now it's just hey, check me out on my YouTube link, here it is.
Link.
And so, but you need something to have on that link. So I don't even know. I mean, maybe you can hire a shooter to go out, write a story, cover it, present it. And depending on the market, they might be like, okay. But now I will say that some of those qualifications, they are not what they used to be. So perhaps with a year being gone, you can come back to, it might be a DC, but it might be whatever, a Baltimore, or Richmond, just one stop away. And then come on home if it's DC that you want to be in. But the fundamentals remain. You have to get experience. A news director has to see something in order to hire you. So however you have to get that resume reel together or a link or whatever, go ahead and do it. Because what I do know, besides all this chatter about the business and blah, 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 whatever, we still need good reporters. We're going to need good anchor people, directors, shooters, tech people behind the scenes, we need that, and we need representation, especially now when diversity is being attacked. And that's a nonpartisan thing. I don't care. I'll stand on that, period. We need that. We need people in those rooms. I'll never forget, just one quick example about how much we need people. An editorial meeting. This was during COVID, and I was still at my old station. And with Black Lives Matter, a lot of protests were going on. And my boss said, well, we also need the other side. I said, okay. I said,
I had to take a sip for that one. I was like, what?
What other side?
What side? There's only one.
What other side are you talking about? What other side?
Right.
And I guarantee you, even when I said that, and there were other people of color in there, but
right.
My daddy's from Memphis. So I was like, ain't nobody, okay, well, yeah, we don't need it. What is the other side? Who would you have beyond for the other side? And so, but had I not been in that room, because they backed away. Okay, never mind. We made
her mad.
Right. Okay, Sojourner, have a seat. We ain't gonna do it.
That's Sojourner.
Okay. All right, Rosa, sit in the front of the bus. You're good. But yeah. But not for that voice. No, there's some stories where you don't. This is a moment where people of all nationalities, this was an international movement. This was not just a movement, a group of black people. No, this was people saying, we have to stamp out police brutality. We can't do this. We got to stamp this bias out, right? And but and it's not just me like blowing myself up, but if a person of color who was conscious about the fight hadn't been in the room, then they would have presented. It wasn't going to be me. It would have been the station that got dragged. Yeah. Okay, but I'm just saying no. And so we still, regardless of the hype of the local news is dying and all that, we still need good people. And I still want to make sure before I retire, I need to look back and make sure about 15 or 20 black reporters in D.C. and about whoever many anchors in D.C. and directors and shooters and all these people, because then I will feel like I can step away and there won't be this void. You know what I mean? Yeah. So long answer short, get your experience, whatever that looks like. It might look different these days because I know bosses look at social media. They might say, okay, you got like 35,000 TikTok people. They listen to you and your stories are pretty good. That can, translate to something on air. We've seen it happen, especially at like a station that used to be like a renegade challenger, like Fox 5. Mm-hmm. They might say, okay, you have this many people. We need this. We need this voice. Yeah. So whatever it is, keep doing what you're doing, but make sure you're stepping out there as some sort of an influencer, not just like a social media, but an influencer as far as people are listening to what you have to say. Yeah.
And when you speak of influencers, honest to God, how was it the first time you were at work and the story came across and it was like, we're going to be talking about the Kardashians today. Yeah. Like, and this is like not just a quick one. We are going to dive deep. Yeah. Yeah. Like, how was that when it started to shift where it was, less about just the news or the local things that are going on or the stories that are affecting everybody in the country and more like niche into the celebrity culture or, influencers?
Tori, I love that. Mm-hmm. I happen to think I'm a very funny person.
Yeah.
I happen to think that, I got my little pulse on what's going on in the entertainment world. So I actually love that. And I feel like the audience embraced that with, yes, you're doing the news and you're doing this, but also, okay, as long as it's branded, okay, we're about to dish. We're about to do some celebrity dish. What did you, whatever. Because I think that also pulls people into your personality and lets you trust them, because if let me think, I'm just trying to think of something that's out right now, whatever. I don't know, Cynthia Erivo not getting the Oscar for, whatever. Okay, versus like the movie that won. Like, to know something about that, to know the difference in talent level, because we know behind that is like, what I'm saying is, this black lady right here put it down.
I mean, she sings down.
It
brings tears.
It's right. Whatever she's singing, you're done, right? My husband went to Wicked. I'm looked over. He is in tears. Okay, when she was like,
my mom was crying so hard. I was like, Mom, get it together. We have another movie to see.
This is a 58-year-old father, black man. Okay, from the Midwest. He is in tears, and so the effect. So if I say on the air, ain't no way in the world. Emilia Perez, that musical, won,
Right.
So then it makes people trust you more.
Yeah.
Because, girl, I was thinking the same thing. You know what I mean? And so I think it all plays in. So when we went to, at that time it was Good Day DC, right? When we went to that, I was so excited because
it was a break.
Oh, it was a break, because in my alter ego, I do have a talk show with my husband. And we chit chat. We are Kelly and whatever her little husband's name is, and we talk about everything. You know what I mean? Because I've done the stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've done the stuff, and there is another part of my personality that I would love to, to be able to share. Because truth be told, like, a lot of people can deliver a news story. A lot of people can go out and report whatever. And I have this whole other part of me that's waiting to get out. A little bit of it's political, as you probably could pick up, but a lot of it is feel good. Like, what's a feel good thing? Let's leave everybody uplifted. Let's spread some positivity. My dad was a minister, but he was an unconventional minister. He was more of a lot of what we see now, like affirmations and all of this. And so I grew up with that. And, I'd like to think I come by that stuff naturally. Like, I can tell you all day long, you're a child of God. You have everything you need within you to succeed. Like, there are no boundaries, right? But you have to put yourself in that position. You have to see it. And then you're there. If you can get it in your mind that you've broken into the business, that you've done the thing that you wanted to do. I mean, look at this. This was, I'm sure, an idea in your mind, and then I want you to come down here and look around and be like, oh, I did that. Jeffrey and I, we did this. And because that's what it is. Yeah. And that's that visualization piece people talk about and all of that. So I just, to be able to share a little bit of that part of me, I was here for it, and the Kardashians.
I would be forever grateful to Fox, because like when I went on there and I was able to do the celebrity dish, it felt like what I do at home with my family and friends, and then for better or for worse, I get to say it on television. Yes. I don't say everything, but it's still like I get, like you say, I can get to show my personality, try to be funny.
Right.
And for me, when I was, interning at Fox and when I was going through that, we had missing children. Yeah. I had to go report on many fires, and people's, whole lives just went up in flames. Right. And it was just like, I'm very empathic. So I was like, I know I'm not going to be good for hard news.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's difficult. I remember
keep that.
I remember the Relisha Rudd story.
That's when I was there. That was the missing child.
Right. And you see that video, you see the last time anybody saw her just walking into the room, and your heart just breaks. And if you have a lot of that can weigh on you. I had the benefit of picking up the phone and always calling my dad about it. Papa, where is God in this? How can this happen to this child? And to be able to talk about it with him, and it doesn't make your heart hurt any less, but it's heavy. Yeah. And this year, let me see, I started on air in 93, so whatever that is, 32, 31 years almost of reporting and or anchoring every day. Those stories stick with you. And it's very difficult. So yes, it is a great outlet to do it. And you also just have to keep in mind, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? Well, because people need to know. Yeah. Because if they hadn't torn down that shelter that she was at, then maybe another child would have, and So I don't take it lightly, but it's hard sometimes, So to be able to talk about other things, it's a good outlet. And I just think it shows the viewer the entire, who you are, like holistically, and all that. Just pulls people in. That's what I think. So I was happy about it.
And that I love. I love that whole thing, because that's like when you said religious, I'm like, yep, that's what I was there. That's what I didn't want to go in it, because I was like, it makes you so sad. But one of the questions that one of the guests, like people who are following the show, wanted to ask you was actually something similar. One was, what was the hardest story? Like, what was the most rewarding story? And then the third question that I have is like, who was like your mentor? Who did you look up to when you were coming into the business?
Well, I say this, every time I say this, she is somewhere like, Lord, will you stop talking about me? Got it. Maureen Bunyan. Okay, that was it. Hair, the posture, the pose, the speaking. That was who I was. I was just going to be her. That was it. I was like, okay, that's who I want to be. I'm going to do that. And she doesn't even know it, but she also gave me the courage to leave Channel 5 and step out and go to a different station, because back in the day she left Channel 9 and went to Channel 7. And I thought, okay, well, if she can do that, then I can have the courage to do that and not be afraid to leave, because it was my choice. I was offered a contract. I dipped. So I'm going to say it was Maureen who did that. Boots on the ground, though, Lark McCarthy, she was the woman who was there in the seat that I eventually took over, that 6 to 9, and then into the show. So just watching her, and she was a stickler for, please don't get it wrong. I was scared. Okay. I was scared. Every time we had to anchor together.
She made you good, though.
Yeah, she did. And every time I was just like, okay, don't say any words wrong. And then, of course, if words going to come out wrong, saying burial is going to come out burial or something. You know what I mean? And I could feel her going. So, okay, get it right. But as far as interviews goes and all that, she was boots on the ground person that I got to work with. And when she left, and I think it was 06 or 07, something like that, and they gave me her position with her blessing, that was when my life really changed. That was when it really, as far as stories, like I was there for 9/11. I was pregnant with our second daughter. I just remember I was on the way to a story when that first plane hit, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, what? And then the second plane. And I was with my photographer, and we were like, no, this is not, something's wrong. We were turning around, we were going back to the station. I was standing there, and then that plane hit the Pentagon. And I just remember, like, I'm pregnant. We're all like paralyzed. But then it's like, come on, okay, all right, what are we doing? I remember being on the phone, like we would kind of just stop. Significance of this day, who would do that? Like, so we're starting in the deep research before we knew. Wall-to-wall coverage. We slept at the station. I was working. I remember the midnight shift and over. That's got to be, like, regardless of all the stories that there have been, that's just got to be the one where the world just kind of stopped as far as I was concerned. And as far as like good stories or the ones that are impactful, golly, there have been so many. I don't think I could just name one. There have just been so many. I will just say that the moment for me that sticks out here in DC was when I turned 50, and the station, it was just kind of like news just kind of stopped during that Good Day 9 to 11 period, and people came out. My parents were still living. They called on the phone. My girls were there. It was surprised. I was doing an Ugly Crown TV. It was the moment, I think, that, and I was going through a lot then. I was going through a lot with the management team. I was going through a lot personally, trying to figure out how to navigate this, because maybe you know this too, but as almost like that model kid, then the model student, then the model this and that.
Do I give that?
Well,
oh no. How did you know?
I feel like then when something shifts and you feel like, what's going on? I'm feeling like I'm being targeted, or I'm feeling like I'm being really watched and all this, and you start to, it shakes everything. And But then that day, like everything was put aside and the whole station came out and it was just a beautiful moment. This has been almost 8 years ago now. I'll be 59 this coming April, next month. But that moment, I think that's the moment that sticks out for me as far as feeling the love from the community, from my coworkers, from the TV audience or whatever. And so that's just what it is. There have been plenty of stories, wonderful, beautiful, impactful stories. I get to do a series now called Get Uplifted, and we have a lot of movers and shakers in the community and all of that. But that's just the moment I think that sticks out for me. Yeah, that 50th birthday party.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Because again, I watch. Well,
Okay.
you were there. I watch every day.
Yeah, just
and I could talk to you forever about it, but I know it's like, oh God, they're gonna. But I do have a couple other things.
okay.
So what I love is, right now your husband is here today. Anyone who watches the show knows full well that Jeffrey is shooting the episode as we speak.
Yeah. Hey, Jeffrey. Okay.
When we got our award last year, and I put him in my speech, and I was like, oh, I was such a baby. I was like, I read the speech like 16 times.
Right.
And then the second I said it, I just started to cry.
Yeah.
I was like, what is wrong with you? But he is now my fiance. And for me, what I always loved is the fact that there are some people who can work with their spouses. I mean, I say Jeffrey loves working with me. If you ask him, he might say something else.
Doubt it.
Yeah. But how is it? So, like, for you and, like you said, having your outside stuff that you do and, being able to be in such similar fields and working, like, how is that for you?
It's wonderful. Mark and I did the radio show at WHUR for about 18 months or so. That ended, like, right July of COVID. Look, COVID is a time period, isn't it? July
it's
of
before
COVID.
and after. There's nothing in between.
July of COVID. And that it was just the best. And actually, on our way over here, we were saying that, he brought it up, but saying that because we're both in the business, there's no questioning of what are you doing. Like the other day, plane crash in DC. God rest the souls that we lost on that evening. Phone rings at midnight. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay, I'll be there. Mark, what happened? I told him what happened. Okay, let's get up. You need me to make you some coffee? You about to go. The reason why he knows that is because he is in the media. It's because he is a student of it. He has been a radio host for as longer than I've been on television because he started right out of school. He's worked in television. He has his own show now, and so he gets it. And but that little sweet spot is that there is no jealousy between us as far as it goes, because that can also come up too. He roots for my success in this business. I root for him 100%. What is it? What do we need to do for you to be able to realize whatever this dream is, and vice versa? So I think that the benefit is we're both in the same business. I don't know that I would have really had a truly long-lasting, successful marriage. It would have been hard with the hours that I work. With the demands on it, when you're on the come up, like you trying to get some money, it's not really there, and then it fluctuates, and you lose jobs and you get jobs. But because of the person that he is, there's no jealousy in our marriage. There is when I see people like. Grown, men. Okay, you looking good, sis. You still killing them, sis. Can I get a hug? Mark,
Back away.
But he's cool because he gets it. You know what I mean? And he knows. And the same thing for me would be the same thing with him, because that's who we are, and for the camera, that's who whatever. But at the end of the day, we get it. And so for me, I really enjoyed our time working together, and whenever we can host things together and all of that, that's it has become like my favorite thing to do as an MC. We do a lot of MC work in this business, and but my dream again is to we want to replace Kelly and whatever her husband is on that show.
I mean, and
So,
what's so crazy about it too is that like every single podcast pretty much is out right now is something about interpersonal relationships or this and that. And that is like one of the biggest things. Like it seems like everyone can understand rooting for your husband, rooting for your boyfriend, but it seems like this crazy topic when it's like now they have to try to root for you.
Right.
And it's like, that shouldn't even be a topic in my mind. It's like you are partners.
Right.
My wins are your wins and vice versa. But it seems like as far as podcasts go, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, I think it's tied into what society feels is okay for men and feels is okay for women.
Yeah.
I feel like society still has an issue with if the woman is the breadwinner or, or whatever, and the man is not. So I think that's what people think the natural order of things is, and I think that bleeds over into everything that we do. So, if both Mark and I are in this business and he's killing it. He's got that longevity that you talk about, like with women when you just don't see him on TV anymore. People are going to be like, okay, that's normal for me. That doesn't upset what I think society is. But vice versa, I think it bothers them in some sort of a way. I was really interested to see with this last presidential election how many people and women too said, "Oh, you want to vote for a woman? You want a woman to be your president? That's weak." It's wild to me. You know what I mean? That people still have that thought. And so I think that's what that stems from. So when you pop out and show them, that I have a man who is so supportive, is my number one cheerleader, is okay, going out there and and MC this thing or anchor this thing, and I'm gonna be right here because I think as long as it's like when he goes to do it, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think that just because you're married doesn't mean that you don't take whatever personality, I won't say issues, but whatever your hang-ups are, they don't just disappear when you get married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you secretly feel like, okay, well, I'm jealous and why she got all of this and I don't, then A, please leave the situation, and B, it's I'm blessed. I know I'm blessed, and so I think it works because we both do the same thing. There's no jealousy. I want him to win. He wants me to win. So we're good.
And you can tell. I mean, it's just like every single time that I've seen you.
Yeah.
I've also seen Mark.
Yeah, he's my support now. I'm gonna tell you.
Every time I see you out, and I mean, y'all just know y'all having such a great time.
Yeah.
You're like eating, drinking, having fun, chatting. It's like that is your best friend, and you can tell.
Absolutely, and if he can't go somewhere, I'm like, oh, okay.
You gonna
I
leave
guess
me
I'll
about?
go.
That's how I feel. I was like, Jeffrey, you can't come. He's like, I don't want to come. I'm like, really? But I know what's gonna go. I want you there.
Right. I just want to be able to look over here while all these people are whatever and talk to
you.
Yes. So that's good. That's perfect.
Now, a long time ago, someone told me that they want to know, to tell a lot about you about what you read. Mm-hmm. I would like to know, what do you read? What is like you've been reading?
Yeah.
What book do you recommend?
Yeah.
What has been like making you happy, making you think?
Yeah. You know what? The thing that I'm reading right now is called Let Them. It's the Let Them theory. And it's interesting, like the books that you gravitate to, you're like, did I need this in my life? But what I'm finding as I'm growing older and all of that is I still get, if somebody says something bad about me, my feelings get hurt. Like if I feel overlooked in something, I'm sorry, my feelings get hurt. I get mad. What did I do? Like, how could I have done this differently? Ideas at work, though that's a free-flowing marketplace of ideas and all that. If my story wasn't chosen or all this, you're still like, oh, okay. But this book is the let them is it's just what it is. It's like if they want to feel that way, if they want to do that, let them. The second part is now let me. So if you see a picture of all your girlfriends and they went out and you didn't get the phone call, well, what happened?
And they do that.
Okay, right. You know who you are.
Right.
And you're like, what? But then, okay, let them. They can do that. But now, let me. When's the last time I've talked to them? Okay, last 4 or 5 times they asked me to do something. I was busy when I was on the couch. Okay, when I was watching TV.
I'm sick.
Right. Right. So be honest with it, and then let me start to go out more. Let me be more social. Let me invite some people over to my house. Girl, nobody has been to my house. Okay, a true story.
That's Jeffrey's dream. Everybody's been to my house. He's like, no more entertaining.
Nobody. Right. So if I see a picture of a dinner party with some people and I'm not there, okay, let's be honest, right? So let them. So I'm just trying to let people live, trying to not take things personally. Another book that I read that I really liked was The Four Agreements, and that's one of the things in there. Don't take it, it's not personal. Don't take it personally, whatever. Be impeccable with your word, all of these things, right? And so that resonates with me. But my guilty pleasure is I love some like Walter Mosley and some, it's another art, James Lee Burke. He does these stories of down in Louisiana, and these kinds of stories, because I love in my other job, I am in my mind, I'm an anthropologist.
You keep saying in your mind. I believe you're going to do all these jobs.
I'm an anthropologist / archaeologist / folklorist. I'm Zora Neale Hurston, 2025. That's me. So I like to learn about these different cultures and all that. So through reading, really fiction, you get to see, what is this reference? Okay, then I'm a person who, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we going to.
That's me in every documentary that I watch.
Exactly.
He says, they said,
right,
based on true events, so now she's going to go look it up. I'm like, I have
somebody
to look
get my iPad, right. We're about to go down this rabbit hole. So I'll say that, but right now I'm doing the let them. Yeah, let them. Just, don't take it all so personally all the time. Sometimes it's not about you. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just what other people are doing, and worry about yourself. As somebody said, stay hydrated and mind your business.
To wrap up, is there anything that you just want the people at home to know?
Yeah. I am I guess a pretty complicated person, right? I claim DC, but I spent the first 4 years of my life overseas. My dad was a minister, but who started off as a Baptist minister, but he really was like that little book, The Daily Word. I don't know if you've seen it with positive. He's that kind of. So it's like I have two sides of a lot of things. Again, I do have very strong opinions. I want Black women to win. I have 3 little Black women that came out of our house, and I want the opportunities to be there. I don't want them to have to fight for their voice to be heard. I want us to continue to move forward as a society. I'm watching all of these things, and I have opinions on all these things, but I can't say what I really feel. And so so just know when you're watching the show, when you're watching TV, that's where I'm coming from. And I care deeply about the people who watch. I care deeply about the viewers. I was in the car over the weekend. Somebody hit me on messaged, my grandchild is missing. Hey, can you help me? My grandchild is missing. And I'm thinking, what in the world can I do on this Saturday to help? Well, what I can do is I can put this on my social media. Across the board, I don't know, some amount, 250,000 people, whatever. People don't be checking in, but they're there. I have a database, and what I can do is I can put it out, and if the child is not found by Monday, what I can do is tell my people, hey, can we put this picture up on the air or on the website? And text grandma back, hey, I'm going to do what I can, and I know you're scared. I'm going to do what I can. And the fact that she trusted me with that, I owe her, that's the debt that I owe, because I've been so supported here in my adopted hometown of DC. And Lanisha was found. Okay, Lanisha is at home. So I really do care. Girl, we're empaths, as you said. And it's a heavy burden sometimes to carry, but I think that if I always say this to Mark, if I enjoy a modicum of success in this business, then I think it's that kind of stuff, because I just can't be like, it's not my problem. When I signed up for this job, it became my problem. So that's what I think it is. Like, go into this business for the right reasons, because it's not all glamorous. It might look like, whatever. We do our own hair and makeup and wardrobe, baby. It is not that glamorous.
I learned that when I interned. I said, "Where are the clothes?"
Yeah, no, they're at the store.
Yes, you gotta go
buy them at Macy's with your own munties. And yeah, so you got to make sure you're doing it for the right reason. And if you're lucky, like I've been lucky, you can feel some of that love back. And that's why I do what I do.
Do you guys see why I absolutely love this woman and have been so obsessed with her all of these years? Allison, thank you so much
Tori,
for
thank you
talking.
for having me.
Thank you. Please let everyone know. I mean, I'm sure they already know, but please let them know where they can follow you, stay engaged with you, and watch you.
Yes, okay. Please watch me on WUSA 9 in the morning, Monday through Friday, 4:25 to 9, really, and then 9 to 10 all day. And then social media, you can just find me by looking up Allison Seymour. Allison Seymour 66, I think, and I had to change everything when I left Fox 5, girl. All these other things, but just look for me. You'll see me. I'll be here. Like that. Please follow. And
with that, thank you guys so much. Again, thank you for sitting
you,
down.
Tori.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, bye.